everyone! How's everybody doing? As promised, on time. Okay, I'm here live, about to have a really good conversation with the Chatty Mystic, who will be joining us very soon. So yeah. Hey, so Eva's just joined. Let's just wait for her to come in. Let me get my angle right, you know. Ugh. Okay, I can't move my chair any further than this, so. Yes, okay, so the Chatty Mystic sent a request to be in your video. Yes, you may. Yes, you may. Okay, so we're going to be having a chat about... hey! How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, excellent.
Good.
Yeah, I just did a little introduction, just telling people that, you know, what we'll be talking about today. I didn't get very far, so.
No, I'm really looking forward to today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Everything.
Yeah. So let's hear a bit more about like your story with, you know, transitioning from religion to spirituality. I think probably every kind of, I'll talk about the Black community first, because I think we have a stronger hold with religion than any other community, in my opinion. Or I can only speak for the community that I was raised in, which was the Black community. And I think there's a real heavy, I don't know, it feels like maybe we're indebted to religion from birth.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, you know, your kind of, you know, religious journey and how you started and, you know, ended and started another spiritual path.
Yeah, literally, I started to go to church at the age of 5. We started off in a Church of England church. Everything was normal, lovely, and we stayed there for the majority of my life until I was a teenager. And my mum was actually into spirituality before all of religion, and she fell out of it because she had a reading quite soon before we lost my father. So it was like, for her, she thought it was all evil, especially when she came to Christianity. She was like, that's all evil, like, you know, all of that stuff.
What kind of spirituality was she into before she kind of became a Christian?
She was into more superstition and stuff, but she was still into crystals, and she had tarot cards and all of that. But it was just the thing where once she went into Christianity, it was like, no, that, you know, that's a no-go, and she completely shutted herself off from that. Which at the same time I'm grateful for, because she did change a lot and it did bring a lot of benefits to our family. But at the same time, I wish she kind of had the balance between the two of what spirituality actually teaches. But I know back in the days, like, this was probably, I'm 25, so this would have been like 30 years ago. I know there wasn't that much information out there anyway. I'm going off topic now, aren't I?
My childhood.
But yeah, from then on, I went to, we was going to Church of England church, then we moved and we started going to an African church, and that's where the decline came.
That's when the magic happens. Come on now, the African church.
Yeah. So carried on going to them, and the first one where it happened was like the pastor started to ask for money every service, and a huge amount. My mum lost all her savings to that. And then we went to another church. That church did it. I carried on going to different churches. I met my husband. We carried on going to different churches, and I was seeing the same pattern in majority of them. If it wasn't,
you
like,
say that's kind of like financial abuse, by kind of getting or coercing people to give in the hope that God is going to like give them so much more. So people are like, okay, you know, let me give this to God and he's going to give me, you know, 10 times more. Is that like kind of financial abuse?
Yeah, it was financial abuse, and not only that, it's just the way they treated people. Like, we went to other churches as well where we gave so much time and so much energy, so much resources as well for free. And it was like, once you left, you're you're nothing to them. It's like
Yeah.
you're completely forgotten. And it just really showed the hearts of them. And it was just ridiculous. And not only that, it's like we had certain when we left, or if we did one little thing, they were judging us, and it became so much like I kept seeing it so many times over the years, and that's what decisions like, you know, spirituality is full of love. There's nothing evil about it, and I had so many perspectives over it beforehand, but I hadn't really looked into it. But when I looked into it, I saw that it actually aligned up with some things that were in the Bible as well. Just that the Bible has also been manipulated, and that's a whole nother story as well. You know, so that's basically how I came into spirituality. I took a lot of research. I also had really bad depression and anxiety 2 years ago, which I struggled from the age of 15 when I was in church. I had so many deliverance services done on me, never worked. And I only combated it when I went into counselling, and I learned about meditation. I learned about keeping my mind still and all of that, and that's where spirituality came in.
And that's kind of something that they might discourage maybe in Christianity or religion, kind of doing alternative stuff apart from getting deliverance, like, you know, getting counseling from somebody who isn't a Christian. You know, maybe if you are struggling with depression, it's demons, you know, you need to pray, you need to get it prayed out of you. It's depression. So you're saying that maybe Christianity didn't help at all with the depression?
No. My life changed when I found spirituality. Obviously, Christianity did help me to an extent. It helps me with, you know, being kind to one another and just the normal principles in life, you know, being the right person. But other than that, I found more joy when I was out of church. And even in my teenage years, when I left church because I kept seeing all this stuff going on, then I fell pregnant. But I could always see there was some type of corruption going on. It just wasn't doing enough for me. And I've seen it happen in other people, like they're sitting there in the services, but then they come out of church and they're a completely different person, you know?
Like, hold on. So
like,
why? So if you could see that, you know, it's kind of corrupted, and hold on, was singing songs and, you know, reading scriptures and stuff like that. But then hold on a minute, there's so much going on here. You know, we see pastors living that life of prosperity, but everybody else is broke. I mean, what is going on here? When are we going to get that return on investment?
You never do.
When, you know, at what point do you just say, hold on a minute? But you know what I think is that fear of speaking out and of saying, hold on a minute, you know, maybe I'm being taken for a mug, you know, because I think from a child, you're kind of discouraged from speaking any kind of ill sentence about religion, about pastors, about them abusing you or taking money or whatever. You're not allowed to do that. So people have a huge problem with speaking out and just saying, you know, calling somebody out, a spiritual leader out, and saying, no, you're wrong, you know? So it becomes a huge struggle to actually leave, because you feel like, hold on, if I leave, you know, maybe I don't have the covering of God or something like that, you know?
I mean, my mum left church after I had my eldest son, because that church was just going downhill. And when we left, we were so isolated. I had no one around us. And when we was there, we had everyone around us. They were always there.
Like, you know, like after you left, did you kind of like keep in contact with people from the church and stuff like that? Did they talk to you, or, you know?
Yeah, like we tried to, but it was awkward because there was still some people going there, and you know, it's like when you leave something and someone else wants to do that, really, but they're jealous that you've, you know, taken that power and that strength and gone with it. So there was a lot of that. Plus, I was a young mum too, so there was judgment going on with there. I had a child out of wedlock and all of that stuff. So I felt a lot of judgment, and it did play a big part in my anxiety and like my growth as a teenager as well. And
I think I remember having this conversation with somebody yesterday, actually. As you're saying this, it's almost like you have this kind of double, like internal guilt, You know, it's like nothing you ever do is good enough, because you're almost taught that there's something internally wrong with you. You know, you're a sinner. There's nothing good about you on the inside. You can pretend and go to church and pray and clap and do all of that, but deep down inside, you're a bad apple. I think it really has a huge impact on self-esteem.
Yeah, it does. And I remember I was used to be in the choir all the time, so our choir leader left the church like all of a sudden, and we were so confused, and he wouldn't tell us what happened. It was that bad. It took probably like 5 years for him to tell us what had happened. But he told us in the end that like all the pastors would go to a club after church with the money that they asked us for, and were, going after girls and all these types of things. And I'm very sensitive to energy, and I used to feel that kind of perverted energy when I was young going to the church. So I'm not even surprised. Little hits on you, or, it's just a bit too much coming off.
But you see, like, people, like, I think I've heard of a few churches. I think I read in the paper a couple of years ago. I don't know if you've heard of this story. I think it was a church on Old Kent Road. Okay. There's probably a million churches on Old Kent Road, but this particular one, I think the pastor got prosecuted for, like, sexual abuse, and it wasn't actually the lady who actually, got him prosecuted. It was the family of the lady, because the lady wouldn't even come forward and, speak out against her pastor and say, he's been sexually abusing me, and that's what happens when you're kind of in this, I call it a cult, a religious cult, because you cannot, your sense of judgment is impaired at that time, because you're having this constant battle. Okay, well, he is sexually abusing me, but hold on a minute, I'm not allowed to speak up against the man of God. So, should I do the worldly thing and, call the freaking police because this is sexual abuse? Okay, I'm not going to let the pastor be touching me. Or should I keep my mouth quiet and just, maybe it's the will of God. Maybe he's meant to be touching me. Maybe, as he says, God told him to, come to my house in the middle of the night or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's that huge, like, battle in yourself with, these spiritual leaders actually taking people's power. Yeah. As you said, and when you do take your power back and leave the church,
oh God,
you're the bad one.
Yeah, you are the bad one. And I've experienced this for the last few years now. Me and my husband just stopped going to church altogether. The last church we did go to was SPAC. Went there for a few weeks and we was out very quickly.
Why did you leave?
Pardon?
Why did you leave SPAC?
Jeez, man. We just saw it straight away, because I had been to so many churches where they were so corrupt. I saw what was going on from I think the second week we went, I was like, huh? Because they were only taking offerings from their support groups, which little Bible study groups. But then in service, Sunday service, they're like, we don't take no offerings. So I was like, wait a minute, this pastor's really smart. He's taking the money from the groups, there's a lot of them, probably about 10 or 12, and then he is using that money. He doesn't need to take money on Sunday service because people are giving so much in those groups.
So much, exactly. And because probably they're in smaller groups as well, I think the pressure is more. You can't just hide in the service and be like,
no.
No, you need to remortgage your house and put it into God, Yeah. Let's answer this question. What helped you overcome others' judgment of you and stand firm in the choices that you made going forward?
Well, I think it's just not. I just didn't care anymore, You just have to be strong and stand your ground with what you believed as true. And when you look in the Bible, it talks about fellowship. It doesn't talk about having to go to a church every Sunday. You don't have to be a slave to that.
You're not a bad person if you didn't show up on Sunday.
No, you're not. God is not judging that. He's always looking at the heart of people. And that's what I've always believed strongly in. It doesn't matter what you do, what you choose to do. If you smoke, if you drink, whatever you do, God is not looking at that. He's looking at the heart of people. And I think if your heart is clean and you're doing the right thing, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter what people say or how people judge you. you just stand firm in it by it's
or
just
even following a set of rules for that matter.
yeah, yeah,
But even as you're saying that, like I remember, the last church I went to,
yeah.
and the prophet of God, he would like literally kind of dictate to people like ridiculous stuff, like
Yeah.
I can't stand gays, and he would like say to this, this kind of gray hair that us girls
Oh,
are doing these days.
yeah, yeah.
He would say to her, no, God doesn't like that color hair on you. Yeah, he would actually say to her, God doesn't like this color hair on you. Try and make your hair only black, only get like a black weave. Don't get
Yeah.
colored weaves and stuff like that. It's like, I would sit there in the service and think, like, what? Like, why would God actually care what color weave is in your hair? Like, seriously, another guy had dreadlocks. He made the guy like cut all of his dreadlocks off.
My.
Because obviously it's ungodly or unsightly to have that. Like, who cares? If you've got piercings, if you've got tattoos, if you've got this, that, and the other, like, that's not what matters. It's your heart. You can have a clean body and be the most nasty person ever.
Yeah. And this is what I started to see with spirituality. Like, I was seeing lesbians, sharing messages of love, or even doing spiritual practices like tarot reading and things that actually help you and speak to your soul, because that's what you need. You need food for the soul. And I was the people that are in spirituality, they're just themselves. They are happy. They're not worried about other people judging them.
Or even God judging them. Let's talk about that.
No.
It's about empowering yourself, finding the power, finding the light within yourself, not looking at an external being to impress. Because I think that's what it is with religion. How well can I do at keeping these rules? How good of a sheep can I be?
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay, God, I followed all these rules. I don't smoke. I don't drink. I don't have any tattoos. I don't relax my hair. I don't have any body piercings. I'm still a virgin. Just like, how many rules you can actually adhere to. That's where people kind of see their value or their worth.
Yeah.
How many kind of church rules that they can follow, and that's just not what it's about at all.
It's not. I've seen so many people lose their power and lose their strength and like just lose who they are when they've come to Christianity. But when you see people come into spirituality, they evolve. They it's a real like rebirth. Even for me, I've not found so much fulfillment in anything other than spirituality, and that's because I understand that God is within, and I have power to change my life into what I want it to be. Christianity, it teaches you that to an extent, but
God is going to change your life.
Yeah, it's not like you can do it. It's like, no, if you follow these rules, God will do it. And it's not that. It's really not.
It's kind of like beating at a dead drum, kind of, If I follow these rules, if I give all my money, if I do this, if I do that, and it's never enough. It's never, ever enough. But I think with spirituality, you have to start as just accepting that you are enough already. There's nothing internally wrong with you. You're not a wounded person or a broken person. You're not this kind of person that could never impress God. It's never going to be enough. But you're okay, and as you evolve, as you kind of increase in power and awareness, you become to love yourself even more, instead of saying, I messed up, oh God, I've gotten, I'm sexually active again. Oh my goodness, I started smoking again. Oh no, kind of breaking all the rules and really having a negative impact on your self-esteem, because you're thinking that there's things wrong with you.
Yeah.
An external force will fix your life, but the power or strength is within ourselves.
Yeah.
Sorry, hey ladies. Hi, for Wives and Mike. Just reading your comment there.
Yeah, because the thing is, like, with spirituality, I thought that people that were spiritual didn't believe in God, and they actually do. I remember going to a spiritualist church the first time ever. I was so scared because I was always told that was bad. And I remember them
doing. Did you go like after you left?
Oh, after I left, it was amazing. It was the best experience I ever had. Like, I can tell you that experience, but that was the best experience I had. But when I went there and I saw like them praying, I was like, oh, they're actually praying in these churches. but we all understand that there is an external force, there is a God, but that's inside of us. And you know, of course there's an energy out there that's controlling what's going on, you know, the universe.
That we are all connected to.
Yeah, and you can call it whatever you want. If it's the universe, some people call it Buddha, some people call it God, whatever. But there is something out there, and I personally believe it's God. But the God is within and without. He's everywhere, you know. The Bible says that he's everywhere. So that's how I see it. That's my view with that. Yeah.
So why do you think it is that, like, kind of religious people kind of see people that do like tarot readings, or like, you know, just like alternative stuff with, like, you know, maybe Ouija boards, or like speaking to spirits, or just anything that's not listening to the pastor, basically, just taking it upon yourself to maybe do spells or something like that, you know, witchcraft, for example. You know, why do you think that people are literally like so scared of it? Like, oh my goodness.
I think it's just fear, fear of the unknown, and they haven't stepped into their power. And I would say that this stuff isn't for everyone, but you know, I know that I'm a very, very old soul, so I've lived many lives, and I understand that now. And because I was drawn to tarot, that's my thing. You know, I'm very drawn to everything spiritual, like all the psychic stuff. But I think mainly it's just the fear that they have of like contacting the dead, and usually they have all these like deliverance services, and they experience dark spirits coming to them because that's what they're focused on, right? And you can't go there trying to like get rid of dark spirits without being clean yourself. You have to do it in a certain way. Like, I've seen Christians try and break away demons, but then more come to them because they're scared. You can't be scared of these things.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens. Like, they try and do it, or they try and do it in their Christian way, and they experience all these dark things happen to them, and they're scared. So, like, when they hear spiritual people doing it, they're like, oh no, that's evil. Personally, I've not experienced anything. I've spoken to my dad, my grandma on the other side, from churches. The spiritual, I can go into that now. The spiritualist church that I went to, my grandma came through and she said that she was organising a car for us. And 2 weeks ago, we had sold our car for money. And how we was going to get that car. And I didn't really believe it, but we got the car. And at the time, I was thinking we didn't really need a car. But now, in the situation of coronavirus, that car has been the most helpful for us. Yeah. So I haven't experienced anything coming to me at night or anything like that. But people just get scared of it.
So we've talked a little bit about the abuse in, you know, religion or churches in particularly. What about the abuse of like spirituality? Because sometimes when you do leave religion and you say, you know what, I want to join a spiritual path now, have you experienced like any abuse, you know, in spirituality as well?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of inner work. So I haven't really. I think it's starting to happen now because I had an Instagram account before this, and I actually deleted it so that I could share my spirituality to everyone openly without being scared. Because when I went through my spiritual awakening, I was like, oh, how would they want to take this? And I hid away from so now that I'm starting to speak up on it, and my husband's also like sharing my stuff, and the Christians on his Facebook page, they're like, oh,
you have to be very confident because you're going to get like backlash, aren't you? Like, oh my goodness, what are you doing? What you're doing is of the devil. Like, without anybody having kind of any knowledge of any kind of spirituality apart from, you know, reading, you know, the Bible or whatever. You know, there's going to be a lot of judgment there if you're not, you know, following scriptures and showing up to church every Sunday, you know? Yeah. All of a sudden, she's gone crazy. She's turned into a witch. Oh, my goodness. Let's pray for her. Sister Eve.
That's what happened literally a week ago. Someone messaged my husband. They were like, oh, I've noticed Eve unfriended me. And this was, I unfriended them. I unfriended everyone off Facebook that I felt would not like my stuff around December. So I was like, okay, so it's taken me all this month to realise or even say something or see if I'm okay. And then she's like, oh, I've noticed that she's putting a lot of erratic content out there. I was like, what does erratic mean? Because my
Crazy.
people. So I actually just laughed it off. But if that happened a few months ago or so, I think that would have really messed me up. But it's, you know, I've done so much work on my confidence and gathered so much knowledge where I can back myself up. Plus, I just understand that I can argue for days anyway. I'm a Gemini, so.
And that is just amazing. Just saying, you know what, I don't care what anybody says. I'm on my spiritual path. I'm going to build my confidence up. I'm not going to let anybody kind of affect me and bring me down and kind of, you know, sway my thoughts and make me think, oh, really, am I doing something bad or evil or whatever? Like, no, like I matter the most. It's me first, you know? And that's what you really have to do when you're kind of walking that spiritual path. But, you know, probably when you're in religion, all you care about is other people. Oh my God, they pray more than me. Oh my God, they're fasting. Oh my God, she's a virgin. Oh my God, they got married before they had their kids. Oh my God. Oh,
it's draining.
It is draining. I think that is the word, draining, because no matter what you put in, you just can't seem to get what you need, essentially, you know? And I feel like it's almost like a false sense of completion. It was for me anyway. I can't really speak on anybody else's kind of a spiritual journey with Christianity, should I say, or religion. But I feel, for me personally, it was a false sense of, you know, completion. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I think you're almost forced to, or encouraged, influenced to kind of make, you know, Jesus your Lord and Savior. And, you know, half the people don't even know what that means, you know? Hi, Princey.
They don't.
Half the people don't even know what that means. You're just saying all these words. Yeah, Jesus is Lord and Jesus is Savior and Jesus is this and Jesus is that. But like, what has Jesus done for you? Do you know what I'm saying? And
I do.
For people who are not really listening to what I'm saying, you know, that might be like, oh, how could you say something like that? Jesus has done everything for me. Do you know what I'm saying? But it's almost like, no, your mind has been programmed to believe or say or whatever, believe that Jesus has done everything for you and you owe your life to Jesus, you're forever indebted to Jesus and stuff like this. And if you're kind of not thinking that way, you start to think there's something wrong with you. Oh, you know, maybe I'm not believing enough. I don't have enough faith. I don't have enough this and that, you know. And it's really, as you said, draining, because you can never really get to that place where, you know, I am enough. And that's the only time that I started to feel kind of genuinely confident, you know, because I think I've been like confident and stuff like that, and, you know, having that belief in myself or whatever, but there was always that bit of, you know, I'm not good enough, you know, I'm still not good enough, because I've been told from a child that, you know, I'm forever indebted to Jesus, you know, I can never pay the price. I can never pay the price. I'm like, so if I can never pay, what is the point of this? You know,
what's the
if
point
I can't pay, you've already told me I cannot pay the price. I don't understand what the point of it is. Like beating a dead horse. And I don't feel comfortable with this. I don't feel like it's making me a better human being. On the surface, maybe, you know, to other people, as I said, you're worried about other people and seeming like a good Christian, you know, not having that shirt too low, you know, showing up to church every Sunday. How many Bible scriptures can you quote? You know, how many scriptures can you quote? You know, these kind of little things that people kind of attach their self-worth to. You know, that was it for me. And it's only when I left, and, you know, kind of the same as you, I was like, listen, I don't care what nobody says. I don't care what nobody says. I'm done with religion. I'm finished. You know, because I didn't believe that it had done. I believed it caused more issues in my life. It actually, definitely in my marriage anyway, because obviously, like, I'm just always like talking against spiritual abuse anyway. Abuse of spiritual or religious abuse anyway. And I had made a lot of decisions based on religion, not on logic, not on critical thinking and what is actually going on right now. It was based on, what would God do? What would Jesus do? What's the right thing that a good Christian would do? Do you know what I mean? And that can be very, very dangerous, you know, because you're not making decisions based on, you know,
your like
logic, intellect. You're making it based on impressing this God. That doesn't make sense, you know? Impress yourself, you know? Impress yourself.
It's like, it's so sad because we've all got intuition and we can all make it stronger. And we're just taught, oh, it's just the Holy Spirit. No, it's more than that. We all have psychic abilities, and it's a shame that, you know, Christians are not, or religious people are not really taught of this. I know there's other religions that do teach their people that, but Christianity, no, you don't hear of that. You're not told that you have the power to go within and find the answers. Like, there's always an answer to a solution if you just meditate and be still for a bit. It's just a shame that this is not spoken about, but at the same time, I am seeing a lot of Christians waking up to the truth and coming over to the other side, which is good. And obviously with coronavirus going on as well, there's a huge awakening of people just coming together and spiritually connecting with the divine, you know, which is amazing.
Yeah. So what do you say about, like, you know, this kind of corona thing? You know, obviously people are saying, like, you know, it's end times, it's revelations, it's, you know, all these kind of things that's been spoken about in the Bible, and, you know, it's the end of the world. We're going to have the mark of the beast, and, you know, Jesus is coming, or whatever. You know, what do you say about that?
That's true. There is an end of the world, but it doesn't mean like the world's gonna go boom and just like fall apart. It's not that kind of ending. It's an end of this current way of living. You know, it's the end of the system. It's the end of the matrix. You know, normal 9 to 5. That's what I feel. That after this, because so many people are gonna get used to being at home, being with their families, it's gonna be really hard for people to go back into that matrix of, you know, being in a 9 to 5, just working, going home, sleeping, doing it all over again, which people need to have that freedom. And I feel like the universe is doing this to get us back to that place of living where we had freedom, we had time with our families, you know, there was more order and people were more nice to each other.
Yeah.
I think that is the ending. It's happened in so many other decades where like a huge pandemic has wiped people out, and then, you know, the world starts again, or a world war happens and all of that stuff. The world it's not going to end in the way that they think. The mark of the beast that they're talking about, I could say that's true, like with the chip that they want to put into you and all of that stuff. But spiritually, I'd say still stay away from that. You know, it doesn't make sense to have that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So what would you say, just going back to, you know, religion and spirituality, you know, what would you say to somebody that was kind of maybe on the fence, kind of on the cusp of kind of leaving religion? Like, this something isn't sitting right with me. I just, but I'm scared at the same time, because, you know, I don't want to lose this kind of covering or favor with God. So do I really want to just be out in the world and, you know, any kind of demon can get me, you know? But wouldn't I want to stay protected? But I'm not really feeling the church that I'm in or whatever. You know, what would you say to somebody that's kind of in that position?
I would say get as much knowledge as you can first, because you will be challenged. If not by the people of the church, maybe family members. I was definitely challenged. So get enough information first to back yourself. And also, just so you know as well, and try and see how the Bible actually lines up with spirituality, so you can feel more comfortable, because, you know, it's all messages of love. It's nothing evil, and just any devil or demon's going to come to you at night. It's not that at all. So I'd say, like, look into it more until you feel ready, because I think it's a thing of just feeling ready, and it's a gradual process. Like, it took me months to get to this stage, and it's an awakening process. It goes in stages. I'd say, like, take your time, much research as you can to learn the truth, and then when you feel ready, you know, fully step away from it. But I would, like, if religious people are bothering you or the church is bothering you, then, you know, thank God we got the coronavirus, because you don't have to go to church at the moment, so more time. But I would just say, like, study as much as you can, and just love people from a distance that are bothering you. I wouldn't just cut them off just like that. It would just look weird. It wouldn't be nice anyway. Yeah. That's my...
So what about like spiritual readings and stuff like that? Because I remember when I was, you know, kind of on the cusp of leaving, because I just felt like I'd made so many bad decisions based on religion and trying to be a good Christian and whatever. And I was like, you know what? I need to throw this whole religion away. Like, I need to throw it away because it's not helping. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, I don't care. Like, I need to find a way. And that was when, like, I got, like, a first kind of, like, spiritual reading. I think I'd been reading, you know, a post on online or something like that. And I thought, okay, well, I'm not quite ready to, like, you know, go and have, like, a face-to-face reading with someone, you know. I don't want them to, like, snatch my energy and stuff like that, like, you know. So I was like, I think somebody told me about this website called Keen.com.
Oh, yeah. That's my first place where I went and got my first...
I think Keen kind of, you know, eases you into stuff, you know. So Keen is pretty cool. It's an online website, so you can kind of like get readings by people. I think they have like a chat, so you can like type your inquiries and stuff. Or you can do it on the phone, right?
Yeah.
So I had like a reading on the phone. I think I had two, essentially. And, you know, I was thinking, oh my God, what are they going to say? What are they going to say? Oh, I'm talking to witches now.
That's how I felt. I was like,
I'm talking to witches. Oh, shit, you know. Oh, God, you know, what's God going to do about it, you know?
I know.
So, you know, I was kind of like, you know, just in a place, you know, I needed answers, you know, because I knew kind of what I wanted to do, but I wanted to know that it was okay to do it, you know. You know, kind of that validation that it was okay, you know, especially because I felt like I was doing something that was, you know, kind of anti-religion kind of thing. So, you know, I think I spoke to this lady, I think she was a clairvoyant on the phone, you know, and I was just saying, hey, lady, like, you know, I really want to leave my husband. I just really want to leave my husband, you know, because I'd spoken to like pastors in the church who were kind of keeping me in this abusive marriage, you know. I would tell them stuff like, you know, obviously he was acting crazy last night, so I had to call the police on him and stuff like that, you know. And then in the next service, you know, the man of God would like be preaching, oh, women who call the police on their husbands are stupid and stuff like this on the pulpit. So I'm like sitting there thinking like, okay, this man's obviously preaching about me, you know, but like that's so crazy that like somebody could be actually going through domestic violence, domestic abuse, and you're saying to women in the congregation, because God knows how many of them are being abused in the congregation, and you're telling them that they shouldn't call the police if their, you know, husband's acting crazy or whatever. That doesn't make any sense, you know. And that's just kind of like when I go back to that, okay, I know what's right, calling the freaking police, you know. And then, oh, hold on a minute, this pastor just said it's bad, you know, for me to call the police. So, you know, what should I do? And that's how people kind of stay in dangerous situations, because you're not necessarily acting in the best interest of yourself, but you're acting in the best interest to kind of please God or to please, you know, the prophet or pastor or whatever, you know, kind of to stay in line with religion. So obviously, eventually, you know, I spoke to this woman and she basically said, you know, I'm not going to tell you, you know, to leave your husband, you know, I'm not going to tell you that, you know, but I think even in that, just telling me that she's not going to tell me to do that, you know, kind of just gave me that confidence to just do it, you know, do what I wanted to do. Do you know what I mean? And then, you know, she kind of just like told me some other stuff, like, you know, about my, you know, creativity and stuff like that, like, you know, which kind of, you know, kind of made me feel good. I was thinking, yeah, okay, she didn't tell me there was demons after me. There's nothing wrong with me, you know, because, you know, I'd heard from like prophets of God, like, oh, you know, I've got a spirit of a serpent following me and stuff like that. I have a serpentine spirit and stuff like that. You know, we've got like, I don't know, witches from my mother's family and stuff like that. Like,
probably do,
but, you know, kind of in a negative way, not in a positive. You know what I'm saying? Because when I spoke to you know, another kind of clairvoyant later down the line, she was telling me how, like, my great grandma was, a witch kind of thing, and I've inherited some kind of powers from her. And like that.
Hi.
Say hey. Say hey guys.
Hello.
Yeah. So she's always practicing the hey guys. So it's like now you're live, so you could do the hey guys. Okay, so she told me that I've inherited some powers from like my grandmother and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, okay. But you see how kind of religion kind of makes it seem like a really devilish thing. Oh my God, I've got to cleanse myself of that witchcraft energy or whatever that I've inherited.
Yeah.
I was born into witchcraft. There's something wrong with me. Okay, Tally. Yeah, mommy's doing a video. Yeah, you want to participate? Yeah. Okay. So, it's kind of just that, you're kind of taught that, oh my goodness, something to do with, witchcraft or whatever is bad. But like when you come into spirituality, oh my God, like I was actually born with powers. That's freaking amazing. What? I was born with powers? Like I've inherited powers? Like what the hell? Do you know what I mean? It's like a total shift of perspective,
Yeah. It's exactly that. I remember, because as a child, I used to see spirit. I used to see all sorts of things. I used to hear them, and they were always trying to communicate with me. And as a child, that freaked me out.
Yeah.
But I shut myself off from that during Christianity because I was like, "Well, this is not right. The devil's trying to take me away, or something like that."
Yeah.
And now,
did you ever tell anybody when you were a child, like, this is what I'm seeing? And what did they say?
Well, I only told my mum. She didn't really like go and tell anyone else. It was kind of normal because my mum experienced it and my sisters, so we all had that kind of eye to see things.
Yeah.
Plus our house, I think it was quite haunted where I grew up. But it was, like now it's like I want to have those abilities back, but I have to work so hard to get it back because subconsciously I just
switched it off. Yeah.
Switched it right off. But yeah, the church really do like take that power away from you.
Yeah, because you've got to give it all to God, essentially,
Yeah.
Surrender all your powers. There's nothing in there, Tuff.
There's more.
No, there's no more. You have to surrender all your powers and, kind of switch off your power, switch off your intuition, switch off your, critical thinking, your everything.
Yeah.
Okay, go and get a cup. Go on.
Okay.
It's empty. You have to switch off everything and, surrender it all to this, kind of, external power from yourself.
Yeah.
That was the huge thing for me. But even like after leaving, for me, I did experience like, I would see like, my whole church going out to evangelize, after like, and to be on the whole road, like, singing and, trying to recruit people and stuff. And, they would like see me there, but nobody would say hello to me. They'd literally just walk past me. Yeah, they would walk past me. I ran into another member of the church when I went to like, some event. She saw me there. She, just like pushing up her face. It was like, oh, I've not actually done anything to anybody. Like, I don't
they
understand.
make you feel that way.
Why I've been shunned, because I've chosen to kind of, take my power and say, I'm not going to let the pastor dictate to me how I should live my life. I'm not going to feel bad about myself for not following every rule in the Bible. Okay, I'm going to live my life authentically and truthfully. Okay. I'm going to accept myself as I am. And because I want to live that kind of life, all of a sudden, I'm evil, I'm bad, I need repentance. I mean, even down to like, members in my family, for example, it's just like, oh, why don't why don't you go to church? Why don't you pray? Or why are you not religious or whatever? And it's like, I don't really need to explain myself to you. I don't.
No, not at all.
And I don't feel bad about it. I'm not religious and I don't feel bad about it. I'm an ex-Christian and I don't feel bad about it. And, it's simple, I mean, how do you feel, How do you feel subscribing to rules? That's what I want to ask. How do you feel following and subscribing to rules? Because I feel free.
Yeah, they would just dodge those questions. Like I've had certain people, certain family members come to me and say these things, and like when you try and challenge them or anything, it's like No, eyes are blocked. Like, you can't even get through to them. I wouldn't even bother. I don't ask a Christian. I just say, look, if you're gonna follow Christianity, do it correctly. Do it accordingly to what the Bible says. Otherwise, there's not even any point.
Yeah.
Like, you can't be in church saying all these things, or like spreading so much Christian messages, and then out of church you're swearing, you're getting angry at people. But when the Bible says you shouldn't do that, it just doesn't make sense. It doesn't at all. You're connected there.
Mental issues, because you're kind of two people. It's Jekyll and Hyde. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I didn't catch what you said just a minute ago.
I said that can actually cause a lot of kind of mental issues in people, because you're kind of playing two roles. It's like, you know, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, you know,
Exactly.
in some cases, because you're trying to do all these things and follow all these rules, but really deep down, you know, you want to live your damn life. And I think it's that thing when you're in church and, oh, you know, being of the flesh and, you know, stuff like that. Oh, sorry, Justice.
Yeah.
You know, being of the flesh and stuff like that. Oh. It's okay. You know, being of the flesh. If you can hear. Sorry, Justice. You know? So it's kind of just that. You know, being of the flesh is bad, you know. You're not supposed to be of the world. You're not supposed to do worldly things. So people that are actually in church really feel bad about doing anything worldly. You know, it's gotten as bad as to, you know, what kind of films you should be watching and what kind of music that you should be listening to and stuff like that. It's like, why should a religion have that much control over your actual entire life and you're not allowed to live it, you know? It's ridiculous, you know. Oh, don't watch the Harry Potter film because J.K. Rowling is a witch.
All of that.
So, you know, how is it going to affect your life by watching Harry Potter, you know?
Yeah. But, like, spirituality, it teaches you, like, certain music is a low frequency, and if you keep listening to it, it's going to mess up your energy anyway. So stay away from it. But it's not explained properly. Like,
I shouldn't be dictated on you that you're a bad person.
Yeah.
If you, because with spirituality, it's not necessarily, you see how it's kind of the same message, but it's the way you kind of deliver it, you know? Yeah. So we're saying kind of in religion, you know, don't listen to, let's say, hip hop, for example, you know, hip hop or rap music or whatever. Don't listen to it. You know, they'll just be talking about this, that, and the other. You know, it's bad. Don't listen to it. You're a bad Christian if you listen to these things. Okay. And then in spirituality, it's kind of just like, be aware of this kind of music. You might want to stay away from it or whatever because it's a low frequency. So it's up to you whether you want to subscribe to it. Just know the fact that if you subscribe yourself to that kind of music, you're operating on a lower frequency, or you're inviting that frequency into yourself or whatever, right? So it's up to you, essentially, if you want to subscribe to it or not. You're not a bad person if you subscribe to it, you know?
No, exactly. It's like
that you're making, you know?
Yeah. And it's also like when it comes to career, I had such a hard time finding my purpose because of Christianity. I couldn't find it for so long because I was like, they're always.
You didn't want to be a video vixen, did you?
Huh?
I said you didn't want to be a video vixen, did you?
What back in the days?
No, to find your career path.
I don't get it. Sorry.
Just a bad joke. Don't mind me.
No. I couldn't find like what I came here to do on earth. Like, I was so confused because it's like you're either a prophet or a pastor or a minister, and because I could sing, they were like, "Oh, but you can sing, so you must sing." It's like, no, but I don't really desire to sing.
That's your gift from God.
Yeah, like I have a gift of singing, and I've used it now because everyone was always going on at me for not using it. I made a song, and now I've found my purpose. I understand what my soul mission is, but in church it's like it's either one of those four things, or you're just a sheep in the service. And it's sad because there's so many Christians, they're not fulfilling their true life's desires, or they even if they try to, they're pushed down from doing that because they're always at church.
Yeah. I actually remember there was a girl that was in my church.
Yeah.
And she was like, I think like a public speaker or something like that. And she used to speak and things like that. And when I think she got quite famous on social media and stuff. And the pastor of the church, obviously used to see her posts and stuff, and she was getting quite popular on social media. And he said in the service one day, oh, you're getting big, you're getting a lot of followers, you're famous, but you're not, kind of giving, God any glory, or just putting my name on it, kind of thing. You should be working for the church and doing all these things for the church, not making your own Instagram account and being a public speaker and whatever. You should be doing it in the name of the church, not for yourself.
Yeah, that's the problem we had, me and my husband, when we went to SPAC. They found out my husband could do graphic design, and they used his skills.
Oh, they would flog him, yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was literally like phone calls after phone calls asking for stuff, but we weren't getting nothing back. It was like,
they'll find what you're good at and literally milk you for it.
Yeah, and it was like there was no consideration if we couldn't go to church because of kids, and because they had no facilities for kids as well. That's a whole new story, man, of SPAC, but it's just corrupted.
Yeah.
So corrupted.
Wow. I think, we've kind of been through a lot. So I kind of have this, I don't know, kind of new, just kind of new life, really.
Yeah.
That I kind of want to, kind of teach my kids to go, and be confident and stuff like that, and not really have that pressure of religion, because I think, growing up as a child, that was like a kind of huge pressure for me. Like, I have to be this good Christian girl, if I'm doing anything that's contrary to that, I'm bad,
Yeah.
How would you say that, you're kind of going about your spiritual walk, with your kids, like, raising your family and stuff?
Yeah, I actually love it so much. It was always like a strain trying to get them all to church on a Sunday, and I used to just...
You kind of forget that the weekend is 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you got one day, Saturday, then the next day you're back at church, then you'll work.
Yeah.
But I enjoy it very much. I still pray with them at night. I teach them about angels. Like, if they're not well, I'm there saging them and stuff, teaching them how them to choose what they actually want to do. Like, just being open with them, and letting them make choices. It's no, because you have to do this, that, or you have to live this certain way. It's like I let them all express in their own ways. Plus, I really understand their star signs and their numerology as well, so I can tell how I am with each one as well, which is so helpful because my eldest son, Gemini, he also has mild autism as well. So I just discovered that autism is actually like there's a spiritual meaning behind it, but which helped me a lot because I thought I had done something wrong. But yeah, I'm always looking into their star signs and trying to figure out what kind of careers would suit them going forward, so that I'm aware when they get older and they want to pick what they is them, Yeah.
It's about giving them that choice and just being free. Like, I always say this, like, you're just a member of the universe. You're just a child of the universe. That's all,
Yeah.
You don't have to subscribe to all these rules and, be a slave to this and, essentially start your life feeling like you're not good enough, or you're heavily indebted to something you will never be able to pay back,
No, not at all.
That kind of thing, I think the biggest thing for me with, kind of leaving religion was, just looking back, the amount of judgment, that even as long as you are a Christian, you're going to be a judgmental person, you can't, I would even say that I was a judgmental person back then. I was very open, accepting people as they are and whatever, but there was still some ounces of judgment. Why? Because I'm comparing them to how they should measure up, you know, in God's eyes, you know. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, God wouldn't approve of that, so technically you're doing something wrong. You
Yeah.
know, God wouldn't approve of that, so technically you're doing something wrong. And that's how it kind of gets you to be a judgmental person, because you're kind of judging people according to how they measure up to these Christian rules. And if they don't make it, you don't make the cut, you know.